November 2025. You may have seen videos with scary titles, "Canada will expel thousands of immigrants," or maybe you've seen posts on social media saying, "Get ready, if you're an international student, you will be forced to leave." These headlines are designed to make people panic, but today I want to take you behind the headlines and show you what is really happening, because the truth is very different from what the clickbait titles suggest. Let's start with this. Canada has not announced any plan to suddenly expel people in November 2025. There is no government policy that says, on that exact date, thousands of immigrants will be deported. What is happening in November 2025 is a legal deadline connected to a court case about citizenship by descent. This is where the rumor began, but the story got twisted and exaggerated as it spread online. Before I explain that law, let's clear up one important difference. Deportation is when Canada forces someone to leave because they don't have legal status. Maybe they overstayed a visa, maybe their refugee claim was denied, or maybe they broke the law. Citizenship by descent is something else. It deals with whether children born outside Canada to Canadian parents automatically qualify for citizenship. Two very different issues, but they've been mixed together in these headlines. So why are people saying expelled in November 2025? Because that's the deadline the court gave the Canadian government to fix its controversial law about citizenship. And when content creators saw that deadline, they spun it into stories of mass deportation. That's what makes this topic confusing but also very important to understand. And that's why in this video, I'll take you step by step through what's really happening, who is actually at risk, and what you need to do if you are studying, working, or planning to immigrate to Canada. Now let's dig into this law. It's called the first-generation limit on citizenship by descent. Here's what it means. If you are a Canadian citizen and you have a child outside Canada, that child can normally become a Canadian citizen by descent. But the law only allows this for the first generation born abroad. That means if your child, who is Canadian by descent, later has a child outside Canada, the grandchild will not automatically inherit Canadian citizenship. This rule has been in place since 2009, and it has created many problems. Families living overseas discovered their children were stateless, or that their kids could not claim the same citizenship rights as others. In 2023, the Ontario Superior Court said this law was unconstitutional. The court decided it unfairly discriminated against Canadian citizens who live abroad. However, the court did not cancel the law immediately. Instead, it gave the Canadian government until November 20th, 2025 to create a new law that would replace the old rule. So, November 2025 is not about deportations. It's about whether children of Canadian citizens born outside Canada can gain citizenship. The government is under pressure to make a decision by then, otherwise the court's ruling will take effect and the old rule will collapse. This is why the date is so important, but it is not related to kicking people out of Canada. To put it simply, the November 2025 deadline is about fixing a broken law that blocks certain children from citizenship. It is not about deporting students, not about deporting workers, and not about mass removals. But because the deadline is big news, some people have turned it into fear headlines. So how is the Canadian government responding? In June 2025, they introduced a bill in Parliament called Bill C-3. This bill would expand citizenship by descent. It would allow Canadian parents born outside Canada to pass on citizenship to their children, even if they are the second generation abroad. However, there is a condition. In the future, to pass citizenship, a parent will need to show a substantial connection to Canada. This means about 3 years of physical presence in Canada before they can pass citizenship to their children born abroad. This is important. Bill C-3 is designed to give more families the right to Canadian citizenship, not to take rights away. It is the opposite of expulsion. It is an expansion of rights. But again, content creators who want views have twisted the story into something scarier than it really is. Now let's talk about who is truly at risk of being expelled or deported. This has nothing to do with Bill C-3 or the November 2025 deadline. The people at risk are those who are already in Canada without legal status. For example, rejected refugee claimants. In 2025, Canada has already increased deportations of failed refugee applicants. Another group at risk are people who overstay their visas. Maybe their work permit or study permit expired and they didn't apply for an extension. These are the normal reasons someone may be removed from Canada. They are not connected to November 2025. So if you are studying in Canada, working in Canada, or applying for permanent residence, you should not worry that the November 2025 deadline will expel you. That deadline is about citizenship law. Your concern should be keeping your documents valid and your applications up to date. Now let's get practical. If you are a student or worker in Canada, what does this all mean for you? The first thing is simple. Do not panic about November 2025. There is no law that says you will be forced to leave Canada on that date. The only people facing removal are those who lose their legal status, for example, if their visas expire or their claims are denied. The second step is to stay informed through reliable sources. Always check the IRCC website or Canadian government announcements. Do not rely only on social media headlines because, as you can see, those headlines often twist the truth to make you scared. If you're ever unsure about your status, consult a licensed immigration lawyer or consultant instead of relying on rumors. The third step, if you or your family are affected by the citizenship by descent issue, watch the progress of Bill C-3 carefully. If it passes, it could open the door for many families to claim citizenship rights that were previously blocked. That is actually a positive outcome that could change the lives of many Canadians abroad. And finally, remember this. Misinformation spreads quickly, but accurate information is your best protection. November 2025 is a deadline for law reform, not a deadline for mass deportations. The real way to protect yourself is to stay legal, renew your documents on time, and follow updates from trusted sources. So, to wrap up, November 2025 is not the date of mass expulsions. It is the deadline for Canada to fix its controversial citizenship law. The real deportations in Canada continue to affect people who lose status, but that has nothing to do with this deadline. If you are a student, worker, or future immigrant, your focus should be on staying in good legal standing and keeping informed. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, share it with others who may be confused, and don't forget to subscribe for more accurate immigration updates. Together, we can fight misinformation with facts. See you in the next video.